I still remember the day my mom's text appeared. We've changed all the locks. You don't have a home anymore. Let's see how brave you really are. Haha. No warning, no call. Just that single message flickering on my screen like a sudden thunderbolt in the dark. I froze for a moment, staring at it, and then I laughed, quietly, almost serenely, because that wasn't an ending. That was the opening act. 2 days later, their lawyer contacted me with 5 words that turned everything upside down. We have a problem. Call immediately. Before I dive deeper, tell me, have you ever been blindsided by your own family? Comment below. Sharing stories like ours reminds me I'm not alone. People used to say we were the perfect family on Maple Street. White shutters, manicured hedges, Sunday dinner smelling of roast chicken, and a peace that only seemed real. Drive past our house, and you might have believed warmth and laughter lived behind those windows. But perfection is only quiet because it's rehearsed. I grew up learning my role. The dependable daughter, the problem solver, the one who didn't challenge authority. My father, Richard Liu, believed love equaled obedience. If something broke, my name came before any tool. Kara, hold the ladder. Kara, grab the wrench. I learned to balance on rooftops before I knew what it meant to rest. My hands were perpetually scratched from wood and wire, but he'd grin and say, "You're tougher than any son I could have had." Mom would beam that flawless smile, the one hiding every sharp edge beneath polite warmth, and add, "Family doesn't count debts." They repeated it, so often became a mantra. Family doesn't count debts. Translation: everything you give us is expected. Everything we take is love. Then there was Emily, my younger sister, 2 years apart, softer, prettier, untouched by the burdens I carried. Dad called her delicate. Mom called her their pride. I was proud, too, once. I thought keeping the peace and fixing their chaos was proof of devotion. When money grew tight, Mom would sigh theatrically over a bill, and somehow my wallet would open. At 17, I was contributing to mortgage payments. By 21, I was covering repairs. It didn't feel wrong then, it felt like love. They praised my skills, my reliability, and I mistook manipulation for appreciation. Each time I patched a wall or wired a payment, I believed I was holding the family together. But glue has a cost, and eventually the strain shows. I remember one Thanksgiving, watching Mom hand Emily a tiny jewelry box. Inside, a gold bracelet with her initials engraved. For our little artist, Mom said. Emily hugged her. I smiled, concealing the chill climbing up my arms. That bracelet probably matched 3 months of my rent at the time. Family doesn't count debts. They'd say. Even years later, that phrase echoes, a soft, poisonous whisper. I can still smell the varnish on the banister I painted at 16. Hear the lock I repaired for Dad. See the porch light I replaced flickering in my memory, the same porch light that would eventually glow over a door I wasn't allowed to enter. It began with quiet whispers, harmless in tone. One rainy night, shoes soaked from the Portland drizzle, I came home late and heard my name from the kitchen. I should have kept walking, but something in Mom's voice froze me. She doesn't realize all her help was voluntary. She said, calm yet sharp, when we sell the house, it'll only be our names on the papers. My chest tightened. Sell the house. Our house. The very place I had painted, repaired, and financed piece by piece over the years. Dad's low, smug laugh followed. Classic Kara. All heart, no business sense. Then Emily's hesitant voice. But won't she expect something? Mom snorted. Expect what? Gifts don't buy ownership. For a moment, I thought I misheard. The room seemed to spin, thick with the aroma of leftover dinner and betrayal. I gripped the wall until my knuckles ached. Gifts, I whispered, the word tasting bitter. They were splitting my sacrifices like spoils, and I was a fool funding their comfort. I retreated to my room silently, each step weighted, rehearsing the script I'd lived my whole life. Be grateful. Be silent. Be compliant. But something inside me shattered that night. I didn't cry. I didn't argue. I perched on the edge of my bed, laptop glow reflecting in my eyes, and began replaying every transfer, every bill, every time they'd muttered, Just this once. Hours drifted by. The house settled into stillness. I could hear the rain tapping against the window, the steady hum of the refrigerator, indifferent to my racing pulse. Then, just as I was about to close the laptop, my phone vibrated. 11:27 p.m., Mom. We've changed all the locks. You don't have a home anymore. Let's see how brave you are. Haha. The words burned into me, one after the other. I read them again, slower this time. Locks, home, brave. And that laugh, sharp, mocking final. No explanation, no call. Just that cold message glowing in the dark. I don't know how long I stared. Maybe a minute, maybe 10. Then, unexpectedly, I laughed. Quiet at first, then louder, until it echoed off the empty walls. Because in that moment, I finally saw the truth. They weren't locking me out. They were releasing me. I shut the phone, reopened the laptop, and began typing. Not a message, not a plea, just a record. Dates, payments, repairs, every cent, every receipt, every promise. Dad had always said, if you want something done right, do it yourself. Fine, I would. By dawn, I had created a folder called Proof. As sunlight seeped through the blinds, warming the chilly air, I made a quiet vow. I wasn't fixing anything for them anymore. I was dismantling everything they'd built on my labor. The morning after that message, something inside me reset. No tears, no rage, just a clear, eerie calm. I brewed coffee, logged into work as if nothing had happened, and moved quietly. If they wanted to see how brave I was, they would, through every number, every line, every calculation. By day, I remained a dependable data analyst at a downtown firm. No one knew that in every spare moment, I was reconstructing a different kind of data, my own history. I pulled old emails, bank transfers, utility bills, payments for roofing materials and contractors I'd temporarily covered, grocery receipts for months they claimed to be broke. Every entry had a story, and every story pointed to the same truth. They had taken and I had paid. I created what I called the ledger of truth. One column for what I had given, another for their promises. The totals didn't just tally, they screamed. $47,000 toward the mortgage, $23,000 for renovations, $15,000 for emergencies, $85,000 of my life. Dad had always bragged about my understanding of money. He just didn't realize how powerful that knowledge would become once I stopped spending it for them. When the screen overflowed with proof, I printed everything, labeled each stack, and stored it carefully in a file box under my desk. I didn't rush to court. No, revenge had to mature like wine, not flare like fire. Over the next few weeks, I met with 3 attorneys. The first 2 treated me as just another wrong daughter seeking sympathy. The third was different. She leaned forward, eyes piercing. You have a case, she said. A solid one. It's not just about what was done. It's about equity. If you can show contribution and intent, you have standing. Intent. That word clicked. I thought of the text again. Let's see how brave you are now. Haha. Not merely cruelty. It was deliberate. Malicious intent, captured in writing. From that point on, every move I made was intentional. I logged every new transfer, archived every voicemail where Mom feigned concern, backed up every file twice, once on my laptop, once in cloud. Nights found me at my desk, cursor blinking beside the word evidence. My apartment was silent except for the heater's hum and the occasional ping of another bank notification, confirming what I already knew. I had the advantage. By the time spring arrived, my case was unassailable. My lawyer was prepared. The documents were finalized. All that remained was a single catalyst, a piece of proof that would make their intent undeniable. It arrived exactly when it should. 2 days after the anniversary of that lock-changing text, an email landed in my inbox. The subject, urgent property sale notice. They were attempting to sell the house without informing me. I smiled. Finally, they had given me exactly what I needed. The morning of the mediation was nothing like the storms I had imagined. No crashing thunder, no chaos, just a crisp Portland morning, scented faintly with rain and paper. I stepped into the downtown law office. Folder tucked under my arm, coffee in hand. My heartbeat was steady. My palms were dry. I had already endured the worst, being barred from my own home by the people who claimed to love me. The receptionist guided me to a stark conference room. White walls, a long table, 2 untouched pictures of water. Fluorescent lights hummed quietly above. I sat in my folder in front of me, and waited. Minutes later, the door opened. My parents entered first. Mom wore her usual soft beige coat, the one chosen to look humble at church. Dad followed in a crisp shirt, jaw tight, eyes blazing. Emily trailed behind, twisting her purse strap nervously, her face pale. "Kara," Mom said softly, the tone she always used when requesting something. "You look tired, sweetheart." "Good morning," I replied, calm, detached, my smile polite but distant. "You didn't need to make this so formal. We could have talked." I tilted my head. "You changed the locks." Conversation, as it turned out, had never been our family's method. Her smile faltered, but before she could respond, the mediator, a middle-aged man with kind eyes, entered, followed by both attorneys. My lawyer gave me a reassuring nod as we took our seats. The first minutes were procedural, polite, the kind of civility that makes your skin crawl when you know the truth underneath. Then my attorney opened the folder. One by one, she laid out the documents, receipts, transfers, invoices, page after page. "This file," she said, sliding it toward the center of the table, documents Ms. Liu's financial contributions to the property at 2146 Maple Street over 14 years. Dad leaned forward, scoffing. "That's absurd. Those were gifts." She was helping her family. My lawyer remained calm. The payments were repeatedly described as temporary assistance, with the expectation of reimbursement. You'll also find messages where both you and Mrs. Liu refer to them as loans. We have evidence of hidden assets as well. Bank statements showing substantial savings while requesting money from Miss Liu under the guise of hardship. Mom shifted in her seat, hands trembling despite perfectly manicured nails, reaching for papers. "This is being misrepresented. We never—" I interrupted for first time. "You told me I didn't have a home anymore. Remember that?" The room fell silent. Her mouth opened, then closed. She looked at me, pleading. "It was a misunderstanding. Kara, we were angry." "It's in writing," my attorney added, sliding another page across the table. Timestamped, 11:27 p.m. The text read, "We changed all the locks. You don't have a home anymore. Let's see how brave you are now." Haha. The mediator adjusted his glasses, frowning. That message strongly indicates intent. Dad's face flushed red. "She's twisting everything." That text was a joke. I met his glare without flinching. "So is your idea of family." The mediator attempted to regain control, but the tension had already snapped. My lawyer proceeded methodically, exposing every inconsistency, every false statement. Evidence piled up, mortgage payments I'd covered, renovation expenses, utility bills, even receipts for new locks. Then came the moment I had been waiting for. The opposing attorney, an older man with tired eyes, cleared his throat and leaned toward my parents. "Mr. and Mrs. Liu," the opposing attorney said quietly, though the room was silent enough for every word to carry. "We have a serious issue. Call me as soon as this session ends." The irony hit me like sunlight breaking through clouds. I allowed myself the faintest smile. There was the line from the thumbnail of my life finally unfolding in reality. Mom's composure cracked. "Kara, please," she said, voice trembling. "We're family. Don't do this." I held her gaze for a long moment before speaking softly. "You're right. We are family. That's why I gave you chance after chance, years of them. But family doesn't give anyone a free pass to take until something breaks." Emily's eyes welled with tears. "I didn't know," she whispered. "Yes, you did," I said quietly. "You just didn't want to see it." Dad slammed his hand on the table. "After everything we gave you—" I cut him off, voice calm and steady. "After everything I gave you, you didn't raise me. You drained me." For a heartbeat, silence filled the room, broken only by the soft hum of the air conditioner. White noise over the ruins of our relationship. Finally, my attorney spoke. Based on the evidence presented, we are requesting a 50% ownership stake in the property or equivalent compensation at current market value. The mediator nodded slowly. That seems a reasonable request given the documentation. Dad's face turned red. Mom reached for his arm, but he shrugged her off. Emily sat stiffly, staring at the table. When the session ended, my parents rushed out, whispering frantically to each other. Their lawyer followed, phone in hand, voice sharp. Yes, I understand. I told them we have a problem. I lingered, staring at the folder before me, the quiet weapon I had forged from years of betrayal. As I stood, my lawyer gave a small, approving smile. You handled that very well. Numbers don't lie, I said. People do. Outside, the city was drenched in golden light. The streets smelled of rain and quiet triumph. Passing a coffee shop window, I glimpsed my reflection and barely recognized a woman staring back. Steady, untouchable, free. I was no longer the obedient daughter. I had become the woman who had learned to fight without raising her voice. For the first time in years, I didn't feel small. I felt exact, powerful. They had thought that changing the locks would end my story. Instead, it opened the door to theirs. 6 weeks later, the court's ruling arrived. 50% ownership awarded to me. It wasn't luck. It was proof. Every line, every calculation, every late-night effort mattered. The house sold for more than they expected. After legal fees and taxes, my parents walked away with half of what they had imagined as their retirement. They had built their future on my compliance and watched it crumble beneath my evidence. I didn't move back. That house was nothing but memories shaped like ghosts. Instead, I purchased a small townhouse across town. The first thing I did was change the locks myself. New keys, new rules, new peace. Occasionally, my phone lights up with their names. Dad's emails heavy with guilt, Mom's voicemails dripping with regret. But I never answer. Some doors, once closed, stay closed. On quiet mornings, I sit by the window, coffee in hand, sunlight warming my face, listening to the hum of my own space. No footsteps, no demands, no instructions, just quiet, just mine. They changed the locks to shut me out. I changed mine to keep them from ever entering again. They thought they were teaching me loyalty. What they really taught me was how to live without them. Freedom didn't come with forgiveness. It came with boundaries and a new set of keys. Sometimes justice doesn't roar. Sometimes it simply signs papers and walks away quietly. And that is enough. If you've ever had to rebuild after your family left destruction behind, you are not alone. Your peace is worth defending, even if you must fight to protect it. Thanks so much for watching. If this story resonated with you, make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Your support means the world and keeps the channel alive. Wishing you a wonderful and truly blessed day.